Hi, this is Kevin Blanche. Today I want to talk about all the rhetoric behind the fucking debt and all the crazy spew that's being fucking thrown out there and how fucked up and how fucking ridiculous it is. It's totally fucking bullshit. This Obama's a socialist. He's spending us in the fucking ditch. This is the most obscene, retarded, fucking ignorant, in the pure definition of ignorant, lack of knowledge, context I've ever seen. Look, let's talk about the debt. This country has always used debt to a certain extent. Not very much until, wartime, Civil War, World War I, we always used debt. Hamilton and Jefferson debated this whole thing. But anyway, as time evolved, here come along World War II, 1940. Of course, we committed all our resources to World War II. Of course we run up massive debts. World War ends. Our percent GDP, just common sense, tells you, and you look at it, was the highest in history right after World War II. Makes sense, right? It's the reality of the situation. We're talking about facts here. Facts and the reality of the situation. Okay, so how did we handle it? Not the way we're handling it today. We handle it by raising taxes. People were so happy and so grateful what the soldiers had done and everybody had done, and so grateful that the country was saved. I mean, some of the tax rates on some of the wealth in this country was as high as 95%, but here was the mentality. Get it paid for, get it cleaned up, get it done, and move on. And boy, did it work. What a great generation they were. So we go all the way through the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. Hardly any debt, very little debt. Okay, then the election of Ronald Reagan and the birth of the conservative movement. Now, when I say the birth of the conservative movement, I'm not talking about Republican, Democrat. All of it pivoted conservative. We've got more conservative every single election cycle since the election of Ronald Reagan in 1980. When that came along, when he was elected, we had a $1.3 billion deficit. Pretty well nothing. By the time he left, it was in the trillions. And people were going to say, well, we had the massive military buildup and we spent our way out of the Cold War. I call fucking bullshit. Technology got us out of the fucking Cold War. People in the eastern part of the world started seeing satellite TVs and the propaganda fell down. Just like our propaganda machine fell down. Well, then, of course, George H. Bush was elected, so we had 12 years, and it was an extension. More debt, trillions and trillions of dollars. And just for the record, George H. Bush and Ronald Reagan did not like each other. Now, when I talk about Ronald Reagan, I'm talking in the context of his economic policy. This has nothing to do with his other policy. He was pretty liberal on some other policies. By today's standard, he would have been a liberal, big-time liberal. By today's standards. I mean, you don't think Harry Reid's a conservative? He's a Mormon from right here. He's a conservative. Okay, most of Congress is conservatives. So it evolves. Okay, then here comes along Bill Clinton. He's elected trillions and trillions of dollars worth of debt from nothing. Now, people say with the technology revolution, maybe it was, but I don't know. His economic policies, whatever, did a lot of good things, put a lot of people to work. Who knows why, how, when, or where. I mean, that's up for debate. But the fact of the matter is, we had surpluses and the debt was being paid down. I'll never forget, in 1998, Clinton had a press conference, brought out graphs, it was on the White House lawn, showing by the year 2009 we will have no debt. This country will be debt-free again, like it was when Reagan got elected. Pretty well debt-free. Now you think about that. The country is kind of like us as homeowners, as your family budget. Now think about it, if you don't have a big fat mortgage to pay that you're over your head on, you don't have a freaking car payment, student loans, all this debt, blah, 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 no credit card payments, how much money would you have? Think about us as a country. We didn't have all that debt. The money that could be generated towards roads, schools, whatever. But the mentality in 1980 was this. The conservative movement in this country started this movement on no taxes, no taxes, no taxes, no taxes. That's all we've heard out of conservative movement for 30 years. The tax rates have been lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. We're paying the lowest taxes that we've paid in this country in 100 years, in a century. Okay, so here comes the election, or the therefore theft of the election of W, whatever you want to call it. He takes office. Let's see, 2 wars, $30 trillion just for Iraq alone. slash taxes. Deficits go psychotic. They were already still freaking hanging over. They were just starting to come down, right back freaking moving up. Okay, so the tax freaking revenue has imploded. We're spending like fucking crazy. Here comes the election of Barack Obama. Oh, he's a fucking socialist. Look, the fact of the matter is, as we look at deficit spending, it's a trailing indicator. There's no way you can identify a presidency or an era within 2 years. It's impossible. The jury's out. We'll see. We'll see. But this whole spew, he's spending us into a ditch. No, wrong. Let's talk about this. The conservative movement spent us into a fucking ditch. Okay, so Reagan, Republican, right? So-called conservative. Dead. George H. Bush, dead. Clinton, Democrat. Surplus. Bush, dead. So let's get real about the whole gist of the matter and put it into context of the reality of the situation. The political rhetoric and the political spin that goes on in the context of the debt is total bullshit. It is total bullshit. You hear the Tea Party rhetoric that goes up. Now let's talk about the budget. Where does this money go? Well, military, a huge chunk of it. Well, we about $600 million this year. These wars cost a lot of money. Now it is true that in the context of Social Security, there is a lot of corruption. There's people going on Social Security that have no business going on Social Security. There's a lot of corruption that needs to be cleaned up. But let's not get off in la fucking bill and listen to this fucking right-wing nut fucking total fucking chaotic fucking bullshit. Let's educate ourselves about the fucking debt. The fact of the matter is, over the last 30 years, was the Republicans and the neocons. Not the Republicans maybe that'll take over next time. Hopefully, well, not take over, but get elected. Whoever's in the powers of Congress. Look, just because a person's a Democrat or Republican does not mean he's conservative or liberal. You don't think Harry Reid is a conservative? He's a conservative. Now think about this scenario out there. To all you right-wing crazies out there. Okay? Obama's a socialist, he's spending his... I mean, get real, please. Come on back down to earth. But look, think about this scenario. Say your Tea Partier down there, Engel, wins. Beats Harry Reid. And the Democrats hold the Senate, which is a very likely scenario. Who's Speaker of the Senate? Who's Majority Leader? Schumer's from New York. Now, he isn't. I'm not a fan of Harry Reid, so I'm a pretty liberal guy, but you know what? I see it in the context of what it is. I don't divide up into Democrat and Republican. I see conservative versus liberal, but the bottom line is our tax revenue was imploded. So let's get real. Let's not just sit and go psychotic over this over the last fucking year or two about Obama's a social and people buying into that bullshit. Look, the damage was fucking done. This fucking deficit is $13 trillion. We gotta quit the fucking rhetoric and tone it fucking down and start thinking about reality. Reality is just like your home budget. We've got to cut some things and we got to raise revenue. How? The middle class has been destroyed. They're not paying any fucking revenue. Somebody's got to pay for this. And this whole bullshit that we take from this country, we take from this country, we don't want to give back to the wealth. Can you imagine if that would have been the same mentality after World War II? So enough of the bullshit, enough of the fucking rhetoric. Let's fucking knock this fucking down a fucking notch when it comes to the fucking debt. And let's get real about it. Don't buy into this right-wing nut crazy fucking spew. It is total lies. It is total bullshit. These people are shooting off the fucking hip. They're hot-button passionate issues. Let's talk about the reality. Reagan came into office in 1980, $1.3 billion deficit. Hardly any. The deficit raged. The only time since 1980 to present that we had any dip in it at all was during the Clinton administration. And there for a few years it was driving dramatically, and boop, right back up. So there's a lot of reasons why, and we go into a lot of reasons why, but enough of this fucking bullshit. Quit fucking freaking out and go psychotic, and let's do something about it. Let's fix it for our fucking kids and our children and our future. We ruined it for ourselves. Oh, and this fucking hat everybody gives me shit about fucking wearing. This fucker's older than most of you been watching this. Los Al Harneys. They ain't run Hardee's down there for 30 years. My lucky hat. Kevin Blanch. Stay tuned.